Bonjour les étudiants. So welcome back. Wish you all a happy new year 2021. Hope this year showers us with a lot of love, happiness and good health, and hope you enjoyed. So today's class will be about the lesson 8. Okay, so lesson 8 will be starting, and it will be an introduction of lesson 8. So you can take your book, it's page number 90. So the lesson's name is Entre jeunes. Oui, leçon 8, entre jeunes. So entre jeunes, which means among the young people. Okay, so far like what we have seen, it's in the market and so on. So how a dialogue takes place, what will be the situation in the market and so on. So in this lesson, we'll be seeing the conversation of among the young people. Okay, so about what you people will be talking. So about the accessories, right? About the accessories, about the gadgets, or about your clothings, right? So your hobbies and so on, right? So that's what it will be, right? So in this lesson it will be that. And this lesson we got three dialogues. Okay, dialogue A, dialogue B and dialogue C. So then we'll be having passé composé again. So the grammar part, passé composé. So then we have adjective demonstrative. Yeah, adjective demonstrative. Hope you remember. Ce, cet, c'est. That is this, that, these, those. Right? So those things. And then we'll be saying COD. Okay, so complément objet direct. So the direct pronouns, that's what we say. And then imperative, right? So a little bit of imperative, but I don't think we got any exercises in imperative. Then subjunctive we have, but we'll omit that exercise because we just have one exercise, and we just have only one sentence in the dialogue even. Okay, so even the last time we omitted subjunctive, so even this time we'll omit it. So then the verb devoir in present tense, we have already seen it in 7th standard, I guess. So the verb devoir, which means must or should, right? So the conjugation will be je dois, tu dois, il doit, elle doit, on doit, nous devons, vous devez, ils doivent, elles doivent. And if you want to conjugate it in future sample, you got to know the radical, right? So the radical, it's devr, devr, it ends with r, right? Then you'll be adding the endings ai and so on. Je devrais, tu devrais, il devrait, elle devrait, on devra. Oui, pardon, je devrais, tu devras, il devra, elle devra, on devra, nous devrons, vous devrez, ils devront, elles devront. Oui. And in passé composé, the past participle is du. Okay, du. Du. The U comes with the chapeau, right, with the circumflex. So the pronunciation will be j'ai dû. We'll be conjugating it with avoir. It's not a part of Dr. Mrs. Van der Trumps, so it will be like j'ai dû, tu as dû, il a dû, elle a dû, on a dû, nous avons dû, vous avez dû, ils ont dû, elles ont dû. Okay, so I should have, that means. Right? And so that's the verb devoir here. And so that's it. Then we got few exercises. So the exercise number 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so the exercises 1, 2 and 3 will be a homework for you for this week. So these three exercises of page number 97, you got to conjugate the verbs which are given in the bracket in passé composé. The second exercise, you got the verbs in italics. You can find it. You got to conjugate those verbs in passé composé. So then the fourth exercise, it's with adjective demonstrative. That is, you got to use ce, cet or say. So for example, the first sentence of the fourth exercise, it is dash robe est très belle. Okay, robe, you got to first check the word if it's singular or plural. If it's plural, you got to use ces. Right? So if it's singular, right? If it's singular, then you got to check if it's masculine or feminine. So robe, it's feminine and singular. So we use cette, right? Okay, so that way. And so the fifth exercise, it is you got to change those sentences to feminine singular form. If the words are given in masculine or in plural form, you got to change it to singular to feminine. right? And the sixth exercise, you got to use the direct object. Okay, so the direct pronouns. You got to answer the questions using direct pronouns, right? And so the seventh exercise is the same thing. Okay, you got to change the sentences using a direct pronoun. Eighth exercise, it's subjunctive, right? And so the ninth exercise, you got to replace the subjunctive sentences using devoir, right? So the 10th exercise, it's fill in. Okay, you got to just fill in the blanks. Even that's actually with the subjunctive. Okay, so now today we'll be reading the dialogue. Okay, so the dialogue of lesson 8, entre jeunes, right? So please follow page number 90. Leçon 8, entre jeunes. Dialogue A. Ouais, c'est une conversation entre Manisha et Geeta. Okay, it's a conversation between two friends, Manisha and Geeta. Okay, so Manisha starts the dialogue. Tiens, c'est une nouvelle jupe. Ton chemisier, ça aussi, c'est nouveau. Geeta, oui. Comment tu les trouves? Manisha, c'est très chic. Où est-ce que tu as acheté cette jupe et ce chemisier? Geeta, j'ai acheté ces vêtements dans une boutique à Delhi. Ces chaussures dans un grand magasin. Manisha, ça doit coûter cher, n'est-ce pas? Geeta, oui, très cher. Oui, donc it's actually a dialogue between two girls. Okay, it's a typical dialogue about the clothings, about the dress that Geeta is wearing. Right. So now it's actually dialogue B, dialogue B. So you can see there are two boys. Okay, so two boys like having a conversation. Okay, it won't be the same as the conversation of the girls, right? As you know. So it's a conversation between Vivek and Ranveer. Oui, so Vivek and Ranveer. So Vivek, salut Ranveer, comment tu me trouves? Oui, comment me trouves-tu? Oui, comment tu me trouves? Comment me trouves-tu? Ranveer, pourquoi? Comme d'habitude. So comme d'habitude, it means as usual. Vivek, regarde-moi bien. Je porte un nouveau pantalon et une nouvelle chemise. Ranveer, oh, pardon, je n'ai pas remarqué ça. Moi, j'aime bien ce pantalon, mais la chemise, pas du tout. Je la trouve moche. Elle ne va pas avec ce pantalon. Okay, so this is actually a conversation between two friends. Okay, so Vivek is wearing a new clothing. Okay, so new pant and a shirt, and he asks to his friend Ranveer. Okay, so Ranveer says he likes the pant. Okay, and not the shirt. So the dialogue C, dialogue C. So it's actually a group of friends. They're having a conversation. It's actually Vivek, Ajay, Ramesh, and Suresh. Okay, so Vivek, Ajay, Ramesh, and Suresh, and even Chandar. Okay, so even Chandar is there. So, voilà. So it's a conversation. You can see the image, and it's maybe in front of a movie. Right. So, in front of a cinema hall. Dialogue C. Vivek, ça alors, qu'est-ce qui se passe aujourd'hui? Tu as l'air joyeux. So, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Which means what's happening, what's going on. Oui. Tu as l'air joyeux. You seem to be happy. Ajay, oui, une moto. Okay, so j'ai reçu un beau cadeau d'anniversaire. Cadeau d'anniversaire, a birthday gift. Oui. Ramesh, c'est super. Il faut qu'on fête ça. Vivek, on doit faire quelque chose. Suresh, absolument. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? On va au cinéma? Chandor, pourquoi pas? Mais quel film? Suresh, il y a un film américain. On va cet après-midi? Tout le monde. Non, on ira demain. Okay, so tout le monde means everyone, all the others. Okay, so Suresh is proposing like that's an American movie and we'll go this afternoon. Okay, and all the others they answer with no, no, we'll go tomorrow. Okay, on ira demain. Ira it's actually the verb aller conjugated in future simple. Oui? Voilà. So now the pronunciation part is over. So maybe the next class, the next session, we'll be translating the dialogues. So now you can go for the dialogue, the exercises 1 and 2, okay, 1, 2 and 3 even. Okay, we'll just dictate the answers, so try to finish it. So we already gave you a list, right? Even in 8th standard, you had a list of past participles for the irregular verbs. So for passé composé, I'll just give a small recap. So passé composé, the thing is you got to know the verb avoir or être, right? So then you must know the past participle of the verb you want to conjugate. Okay, for example, if you take an er ending verb, for example, jouer, jouer. So to find the past participle of an er ending verb, it's quite simple. Okay, you remove r and add an accent aigu, right? Acute accent over the so then it's jouer. The pronunciation will be the same, Joue accent. Right? So you conjugate it with the verb avoir, j'ai joué, tu as joué, il a joué, elle a joué, on a joué, nous avons joué, vous avez joué, ils ont joué, elles ont joué. So the same thing happens for all the er ending verbs in passé composé. But what about the irregular verbs? Avoir, être, aller, venir, faire. Okay, so we saw some 30 verbs, right? So for those you got to memorize the past participles. Right? So we'll just check the first exercise. Right? We'll just check the first exercise. Mettez les verbes au passé composé. You got 5 sentences. Il comprendre l'explication du professeur. So the verb which is given in the bracket is comprendre. Oui? So what is the past participle of comprendre? So hope you remember. It's compris. Compris. Okay. So you conjugate it with avoir. So first of all, you got to conjugate the verb avoir for il. Il a compris. Compris. Il a compris l'explication du professeur. Oui. So he understood. Comprendre, which means to understand. When you conjugate it in passé composé, it becomes past. Il a compris. He understood the explication of the teacher. Oui. So the second one, vous achetez un nouvel appartement. So acheter, it's given in the bracket, so it's an er ending verb, so it's simple. So the past participle is acheter, right? Achete accent. So vous, okay, the subject it's vous. So you got to conjugate the verb avoir for vous. Vous avez, oui, vous avez acheté, achete accent, un nouvel appartement. Okay, so you bought, oui, you bought a new apartment. The third one, nous prendre, une tasse de café. Okay, so une tasse de café, a cup of coffee. The verb prendre, which means to bring, to take. Prendre, to take. Nous prendre. So the past participle of prendre is pris, P-R-I-S. Okay, so same way like comprendre, you can see at the last we got prendre. So here it's actually the prendre itself, P-R-E-N-D-R-E. The past participle is P-R-I-S. Nous avons, you conjugate the verb avoir. Nous avons pris. Okay, so nous avons pris une tasse de café. So we took a cup of coffee. Oui, so nous avons pris, P-R-I-S, une tasse de café. So the last before one, elle, être, chez sa tante. Oui, so être the verb you got to conjugate. So the past participle of être it's été, e accent, te accent. Okay, so the same spelling as we got for summer, the season summer. Okay, we got the same spelling été, e accent, te accent, accent aigu. Elle a, so you conjugate the verb avoir. Elle a été chez sa tante. Oui, elle a été chez sa tante. So she was in her aunt's house. Okay, she was at her aunt's place. Okay, so chez means at the place of or at the house of. Oui, voilà. And so then the last one. So we got tu apprendre combien de langues? Oui, tu apprendre combien de langues? C'est une question, it's a question. So the verb apprendre, you got to find the past participle. So it's same way like prendre, comprendre, apprendre. Right? So the past participle it's appris. A-P-P-R-I-S. A-P-P-R-I-S. So you conjugate the verb avoir for tu. Tu as appris combien de langues? How many languages you learned? Okay, apprendre to learn. So past it's appris, right? And it's learned. Okay, how many languages you learned? So now the second exercise. Mettez les verbes en italique au passé composé. Okay, so you got to put the verbs which are in italics. Okay, so to be in the slanting position, you can check the paragraph. So those verbs in passé composé. L'année dernière, je visite la France. Okay, so the sentence is wrong. If you conjugate it in present tense, it's wrong because he said l'année dernière, the last year. Okay, so the last year, then you got to use past tense. L'année dernière, j'ai visité. Okay, so do not forget it's J apostrophe AI. J'ai visité la France. Point. Je passe 2 jours. Pardon. Je passe 2 jours à Paris. So the verb passer will be conjugated with avoir. J'ai passé. Oui, j'ai passé 2 jours à Paris. Okay, so the last year I visited France. I spent 2 days in Paris. Okay, I spent 2 days in Paris. Alors, je visite presque tous les monuments célèbres. So again, we got to conjugate the verb visiter. Alors, j'ai visité. Okay, so J apostrophe AI, visiter, V-I-S-I-T-E accent. J'ai visité presque tous les monuments célèbres. Okay, so almost all the famous monuments. J'ai visité presque tous les monuments célèbres. Je prends beaucoup de photos. Je prends beaucoup de photos. So hope you remember the past participle of prendre. So you got to find the past participle pris. Okay, so j'ai pris. Okay, j'ai pris beaucoup de photos. Okay, so I took a lot of photos. J apostrophe AI, P-R-I-S. J'ai pris beaucoup de photos. Je rencontre plusieurs personnes. So rencontrer, it means to meet. Right? To meet. I met several people, several persons, a lot of people. So j'ai rencontré. It's an ER ending verb. So it's j'ai rencontré. R-E-N-C-O-N-T-R-E accent. So careful with the verb rencontrer. So we often do a spelling mistake with rencontrer. Okay, so don't get confused with the verb raconter and rencontrer. So j'ai rencontré plusieurs personnes. Ils sont sympathiques. Okay, ils sont sympathiques. And we don't change the verb être. Okay, because it's not in italic. Okay, and it's that too it's a description. Okay, so you can leave it as it is. Ils sont sympathiques. They are kind. Je mange bien à Paris dans les brasseries. Je mange bien. Okay, so the verb manger. Okay, so which means to eat. It's an ER ending verb. It's in italic. So you got to change it to passé composé. J'ai mangé bien. Okay, so j'ai, so the bien changes, comes inside. Okay, so will be placed before the past participle. J'ai bien mangé. J'ai bien mangé à Paris dans les brasseries. Okay, even if you place bien next to past participle, it's not a big mistake. Okay, j'ai bien mangé à Paris dans les brasseries. Je marche beaucoup le long de la Seine. Je marche beaucoup le long de la Seine. Seine, as you know, it's one of the famous river in France. Okay, it crosses Paris. Okay, it crosses Paris. So it's actually the Seine River. Je marche. Okay, marche, it means to walk or to march. So I walk a lot. Okay, so j'ai marché. J'ai marché beaucoup. Okay, j'ai beaucoup marché. So same way like bien. So the beaucoup comes before the past participle. J'ai beaucoup marché le long de la Seine. And then, et je fais une navette sur la Seine. Oui, je fais une navette. So now we got an irregular verb again. So the verb faire. Oui, so the past participle of faire, it's fait. F-A-I-T. Okay, it's not F-A-I-S, it's F-A-I-T. Okay, so j'ai fait une navette sur la Seine. So navette, it means a small touristic boat. Okay, so j'ai fait une navette sur la Seine, on the Seine River. Comme ça, je peux bien voir Paris. Okay, so comme ça, so that, like that, I can see Paris properly. Okay, je peux bien voir Paris. So here the verb pouvoir is written in italics, right? So you'll be conjugating the verb pouvoir. So the verb pouvoir, the past participle is pu. Okay, so j'ai pu. Oui, j'ai pu. The verb voir, okay, it will be the same. Okay, so careful of the spelling. J'ai, J apostrophe A I P U. Voir. Okay, so before voir you can place bien. Oui, j'ai pu bien voir. Voir, it will be the same spelling in infinitive form. J'ai pu bien voir Paris. So then, en somme. Okay, so en somme, je suis tout heureux à Paris. So en somme, it means in total. So totally, je suis tout heureux à Paris. So suis, actually the verb être, which is in italics. So the past participle, it's été. Okay, so j'ai été tout heureux à Paris. Okay, so I was all happy. Okay, so I was very happy in Paris. J'ai été tout heureux à Paris. J apostrophe AI, E accent, T-E accent. So now the third exercise. Okay, the third exercise, it's an easy one. You got to conjugate the verbs which are in the bracket. You no need to conjugate the verb avoir. So the auxiliary, it's already conjugated, it's already given. You just got to find the past participle. Mettez les participes passés du verbe. Il a. Okay, so the vouloir verb is given. So vouloir, which means want or wish. So the past participle, it's voulu. Okay, voulu, V-O-U-L-U. Okay, il a voulu apprendre le français. He wanted to learn French. Okay, he wanted to learn French. Il a voulu, V-O-U-L-U. You got to replace the bracket, inside the bracket, everything, and with V-O-U-L-U. So the second one, vous avez faire un excellent travail. So just now we saw the verb faire, the past participle, it's F-A-I-T. So F-A-I-T. Vous avez fait un excellent travail. Okay, you did an excellent job. So the third one, elle a voir un beau film. Voir, it means to see. Okay, so the past participle, it's vu. V-U. V-U. That's it. Elle a vu. V-U. It's a past participle of voir. Okay, so V-U. Elle a vu un beau film. So she saw a beautiful movie. So the last before one. Est-ce que vous avez écouté la nouvelle chanson de Georges Michel? So est-ce que vous avez écouté? So écouter, it's an ER ending verb. So you just remove R, add an accent over the last E. Oui. Est-ce que vous avez écouté la nouvelle chanson de Georges Michel? So have you listened to the new song? Okay, new song of Georges Michel. The last one, tu as choisir. Oui, tu as choisir tes vêtements. So the choisir, the verb, it's an IR ending verb. So if it's an IR ending verb, okay, so a regular IR ending verb, you just remove R and you got the past participle. Okay, for finir, choisir, obéir, and so on. So you just remove R and you got the past participle. Choisi, CHOISI. Tu as choisi tes vêtements. Okay, have you chosen your clothings? Have you chosen the dress? Okay? So tu as choisi, CHOISI. Okay? So that's it. So try the fourth exercise. Okay, try the fourth exercise, and the first three exercises we won't be doing it in the next class. Okay, we'll be seeing the other exercises. So kindly watch the video and do it again. So merci beaucoup. We'll continue the next class. Okay, so be safe.